This evening, I'm excited to welcome Destination Crenshaw and Zócalo Public Square for this evening's program. And now I'm excited to introduce to you Jason Foster from Destination Crenshaw.
Thank you, Principal Moore, and welcome everybody. Thank you for coming out tonight. I am Jason Foster, President and Chief Operating Officer of Destination Crenshaw. Destination Crenshaw is a 1.3-mile public art and infrastructure project along Crenshaw Boulevard. We are building pocket parks and community spaces, doing over 100 public art commissions throughout the corridor, and tying together all of this work to really celebrate the history, the presence, and also the contributions that Black LA has had to not only Los Angeles, but the world. We are the creative center of culture. Not only Black culture, but culture in general. As you can tell by events, maybe over the weekend, they're not like us. This is Los Angeles. And today, we're gonna really learn about Destination Crenshaw from the visionary standpoint. So I tell people all the time, I am the executor. I am by no means the vision. And I'm excited today to have the people that made that vision come to reality here. So we're excited to really partner with Zócalo Public Square to make this a reality. Not only are you gonna be seeing it in person, but people are streaming this event online. And I just want to welcome everybody to join us on May 31st when we do this again and really celebrate Crenshaw's car culture with Charles Dixon and Larry Earl. So now I'll turn it over to Maura Cherie from Zócalo Public Square. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Jason. My name is Moira Shuri. Thank you for joining us online and here at Crenshaw High School. I'm the Executive Director of Zócalo Public Square, a unit of Arizona State University Media Enterprise. At Zócalo, our mission is to connect people to ideas and to each other. Everything we do is free and everyone is welcome. We publish original writing and present conversations like this one. You can find us at zocalopublicsquare.org, on podcast platforms, YouTube, and other media platforms, so please subscribe for our latest programs. We were founded in 2003, and we are now celebrating our 20th birthday. Our program tonight asks, how do you grow a rose from concrete? We are honored to co-present this program with Destination Crenshaw, with generous support from Supervisor Holly Mitchell and Akiva and Martin Jacobs. I'm pleased to introduce our moderator, V. Joy Simmons. Joy is an art collector and philanthropist who has supported the work of artists of African descent and more broadly, of artists whose work is informed and inspired by Black culture. Having recently retired from a long career as a physician, she is currently working as the Senior Art and Exhibition Advisor for Destination Crenshaw, a 1.3-mile public art corridor down Crenshaw Boulevard in Los Angeles. She has been an active supporter of the arts and diversity at Stanford, where she serves as a trustee of the university. Dr. Simmons currently serves as a commissioner of the Smithsonian American Art Museum and has recently been appointed to the board of the California African American Museum. Over to you, Joy.
Thank you, Marwa, and welcome everyone. I'm Dr. Joy Simmons, and I'm the Senior Art and Exhibition Advisor for Destination Crenshaw, and I am a proud graduate of Crenshaw High School, class of 1970. How many other Crenshaw Cougars do we have in the audience? Let us see a show of hands. Well, I know for me, coming back to the campus is a thrill. I remember being excited as a 15-year-old coming here in 1968, but this just hits different. To be able to come back and share this project with you and the world that is so impactful and so important to me as a resident of the Crenshaw area who grew up here, to see this come to life for us, by us, is important. Right now, I'm going to introduce to you, and it's my honor, two incredible guests that will talk to you about their participation in the project as well. Gabrielle Bullock is Principal and Director of Global Diversity for Perkins & Will, and has shaped her architectural career that focuses on her two passions, design and social justice. As a designer and principal, she has been a key player in Perkins & Will's success for more than 30 years, leading numerous complex and high-profile projects, and most recently, Destination Crenshaw, a project that combines all the elements of Gabrielle's beliefs that makes for a successful, groundbreaking project. As the firm's Director of Global Diversity, a position created for her and one of the first such roles at a large architectural firm, she has transformed their work and culture to foster an environment rich in diverse talent and fresh ideas. But more importantly, there are only 600 Black women architects in this country. That's 0.2% of all architects. And we have 2 of those architects working on this project. Bow down. And we also have Los Angeles City Councilmember Marqueece Harris-Dawson, who proudly represents the 8th District of Los Angeles and chairs the city's Planning, Land Use, and Management Committee. Councilmember Harris-Dawson has introduced policies that combat homelessness, create quality jobs, clean streets, and encourages community policing. Harris-Dawson succeeded Karen Bass as president and CEO of the Community Coalition in 2004. He is the recipient of various awards, including the Do Something Brick Award, the Wellness Foundation Sabbatical Award, the NAACP Man of Valor Award, the Durfee Foundation Stanton Fellowship, and Liberty Hill Foundation's Upton Sinclair Award. Councilmember Harris-Dawson grew up in South Los Angeles and proudly resides here with his wife, Carrie. They both strongly believe in the community's power to create a better tomorrow through organizing and working together. Thank you for joining us. I'd like to remind the audience that we will be taking questions at the end of the program. And if you're watching online, you can submit questions to the live chat on YouTube. So let's get started. Councilmember Harris-Dawson, as a son of South Los Angeles, can you talk about what the Crenshaw corridor was like when you were growing up, and what has it experienced that brought us to this moment?
Thank you so much, and thank you, Joy and Zócalo and Gabrielle and everybody that's here with us today at the school. And you know, Crenshaw being here on this campus, like you know, my mother was one of the first people to graduate from Crenshaw High School, so I've been coming around this place for a long, long time. And the thing I remember most about Crenshaw that is true to this day is that there is always motion, whether it's, you know, cars bouncing on hydraulics, young people doing the latest dance, entrepreneurs out front sweeping up in front of their businesses, people going and coming from church. It is where our life happens. It is where we witness what each other is doing, and where we try to make sure we provide for each other and we build the kind of community we deserve to live in. And so Crenshaw, the street, is the platform for who we are and who we've been to the world, and I think who we will be going forward.
I grew up here too, and I remember when the train came through, it really provoked a lot of conversations and mixed feelings. Can you talk about that? And I guess there's a Beverly Hills connection to all of this?
Yes. So when I started talking to neighbors and residents and voters about running for office, folks were very concerned about the train. And of course, I have been involved as the director of Community Coalition in the fight to get the train to be underground, to win the Lemertz Park Station, which was not supposed to be there in the first place. And there was a real feeling that our community is on the ropes, and most of our time in the United States, Black communities are on the ropes, most of our time. So we were on the ropes, and the feeling was this train could be a knockout punch. It could change the real estate landscape, it could change the safety landscape, and it could change our connection to the rest of the city, and it might go away. And so we set out to do a project that would create community permanence, that would tell our story, and it would make us permanent in the city of Los Angeles, so that no matter what happens going forward, there's not going to be a situation where you get to say we were never here, and we were never a part of building what is this great creative capital of the world.
You know the saying, if we build it, they will come. Clearly, this is a project that needed someone to understand the narrative, the depth, and the meaning of that had to be communicated. Talk about Destination Crenshaw's connection to Perkins and Will and how that came about.
Well, when we talked to business owners and community members, they came up with this idea of a 1.3-mile outdoor museum. So put our art, put our culture out on the street. And that you talked about Beverly Hills in the first question. One of the things we noticed is that when we were fighting for the train to go underground, people in Beverly Hills were fighting for the opposite. And so I said, well, we're asking for something different. We need to be asking for what Beverly Hills is asking for. Why are they asking for that? When we reached out to them, they said, well, we're Beverly Hills. We want people to see our stuff. When the train goes by, we want them to see our shops, our restaurants, our museums, all of those things. And so they'll get off the train, they'll spend money here, and they'll help our economy. And the 1.3-mile museum was, the idea was that we should do that here along Crenshaw. And we start reaching out to people because, it seems like a little bit of a far-fetched idea. And the next thing we know, we're hearing from Perkins and Will, one of the premier architecture firms in the country, saying, we might be interested in doing this project. And then we met Zena and Gabrielle, 2 of the 600 Black women architects who were fresh off of doing the Smithsonian African American Museum in Washington, D.C. And so when they said it was a good idea and they wanted to do it, that was an example of, if you put it out there, folks will rally and our community will come together, and the people who have the skills and resources will show up to help make it happen.
As an organizer and the South LA leader, you've been a director of Community Coalition, and you know that gathering community voices is important. So how did you bring that to play for this project?
Well, we believe strongly as a community organizer, people will always oppose what you do to them. They will disregard what you do for them, and they will only embrace what you do with them. And so we hit the streets in a big way, knocked on hundreds, even over 1,000 doors. We took almost 500 surveys, convened the business owners, convened faith leaders, and really connected with people. And again, not everybody agrees. Some people thought you should do more of this or less of that, or less of this or more of that. But the point is, people are engaged in the conversation and can participate in the project. And Perkins and Will, in particular, is an architecture firm of note because of its community design process and how it pulls the ideas, thinking, and vision from community members, and they were able to come and build on that.
Well, this is going to be the last question, so I can get to Gabrielle. So what do you want the South Los Angeles community to feel about this project? And what do you, not only for the people who live here, the second part is, what do you want visitors to experience?
I want, first I'll deal with the people of South Los Angeles and our folks. I want people to feel like it's theirs. I want people to feel that way, the way other communities feel about Boyle Heights or another community might feel about Chinatown. I want folks to feel like it's ours now and it's ours going forward. And that means it's ours. We have to take responsibility for it, but it also means we can't just let somebody come and take it from us. And the visitors, I want them to come and consume Black culture in the space that creates Black culture. So all too often, our community creates culture, and you have to go somewhere else to consume it, and that community benefits from the commerce and the activity that happens as a result of culture we created, and our community doesn't get anything of it. In fact, the people who create the culture even end up moving out. So we want to create a platform here where if you want to consume our culture, you're going to come to our neighborhood and do it, and you're going to eat in our restaurants, and you're going to go to our bars, and you're going to go to our galleries. You're going to spend money with us the way you spend money in other communities, and we can all prosper together based on the value that we create for this country.
Oh, well, thank you. All right. Now I'm going to have questions for Gabrielle. You were one of the first architects that was hand-selected to lead the design of this project. Can you speak to what that means to you, or what that meant to you?
Thank you, Joy. So most Black architects, and perhaps all architects, but specifically Black architects, want to impact the communities where they live, their neighborhoods, and the places that shape us. I've devoted my entire career to doing just that, and this project is clearly the perfect example of it. I wanted to improve the way my people lived, and so this project for me is a gift. I rarely have clients that look like me. I rarely get to really advance the design process, because that's what I really want to highlight, is that this was not the traditional historical design process. This truly was working with the community as co-creator, giving them power, design voice. So at the end of the day, we are merely the interpreters, and we are designing with and not for. So this project gives me great pride and honor to be part of it.
Perkins & Will is widely known for designing the Smithsonian National Museum of African American History and Culture in Washington, D.C., the National Center of Civil Rights and Human Rights in Atlanta, Georgia, and the historic Emancipation Park in Houston, Texas. And that's just a few of the big projects that you have done. What was the approach when asked to design for Destination Crenshaw, and how is it different?
So it's different, and it's sort of similar. So it's not a building, it's not a contained museum or cultural center like the others that you mentioned, but it is about storytelling. And so are those places. So, and because the origin of this project, as the council member mentioned, was the origin is from the community. The idea came from the community, so I think, and that was clear to us from the outset. And so while we could represent the community in terms of, our team members, Drake Dillard, who's of the community, again, it was, we listen first. So the approach, this is what we listen first, engage often, and interpret the desires, needs, and vision of the community, and in a way that can physically manifest their story, this community's story. And we are not a monolith, right? So while the process may be similar, the outcome's gonna be different, and what we talk about throughout the process will be different.
Okay, let's talk about Sankofa Park. Can we have the slide, please?
I love this part.
Maybe. There. Okay, so Sankofa will be Destination Crenshaw's largest build. How did the name come about, and how were you impacted on your design?
Is Karen Mack in the house? She's not, okay. So at one of our very first visioning workshops, where we asked community members to bring anything, could be music, could be a piece of artwork, could be anything, an artifact that means something to them related to this community. And Karen Mack, a community member, brought the image of a Sankofa bird, which is a colorful bird, West African. Its head turns 360 degrees. So the metaphor, or an interpretation of that, could be that go back and get what was taken from you. And so after talking and meeting and immersing ourselves with this community, it was clear that the largest park, the largest gathering area, this is in the togetherness node, it's meant to be large and gathering, space for gathering. And so we designed it to actually, metaphorically and almost physically, look like a bird, but it switches up to the highest viewing deck, and you can look south to see where you've come. And in our mind, that was a metaphor for the migration of the Black community from south and east in Africa. So you get to the north, the top, you look south, and then you look north to where you're going. And that is literally the definition of Sankofa Park.
Love it. Okay. Now we have the next slide. I guess we can start, kind of.
We have some questions for you.
Okay,
yes.
okay.
Yes, they're going to let me talk again. Joy, you're a noted, one of the leading Black art collectors anywhere here in Southern California and across the nation, and you participate in the National Museum, our local African American museum. Collections all tell a story. Can you talk about your collection and the collection of art that we will have in Destination Crenshaw eventually?
My collection philosophy has been one of also telling stories. I wanted my collection to reflect art and stories of my time, not historical, which is not bad, but I wanted contemporary work and things that spoke to me and my family to give me that nourishing, that spirit, that support. And as I did that and was asked to be the art and exhibition advisor, I took that same ethos to be able to say, I think from what I've heard from the advisory committee meetings and things like that, that this is what we needed for Destination Crenshaw as well. So it's part of my job as the art and exhibition advisor was to take the information, the feelings, the thoughts, the words of the community members to be able to say, okay, what kind of work is going to be able to impart that same kind of feeling when people come to these spaces.
Can you tell us how you got involved in art and eventually collecting?
For me, I'm a visual learner. As a radiologist, all I do is look at things. So I'm always with images. So once I got to be able to see what art looked like in a home as a college student, and then it was sparking to understand what that means to have art be in your space that nourishes you, that supports you, that's when I just said, this is what I want to do. And as part of that passion of collecting art and getting ready to, and getting to know artists and befriend them and support them, that's how that passion transformed into another career, if you will. I'm working on this project because of my connections with the artistic community here and abroad.
And as you've done the work to pull in artists and work with artists and organize artists to envision opportunity for art along Crenshaw Boulevard, what is it about the Crenshaw community and the Crenshaw space and Black artists in this space that is particular that you expect to see in Destination Crenshaw?
I want to be able to show, by the artists that we selected, kind of a range of not only the ages of the artists. We have an artist who's 96, and we have artists who are in their 20s. So I wanted that generational storytelling to be told. And I also wanted art that not only is conceptual, when you see a pink orb in the middle of Sankofa Park and you're wondering what that is all about, you got to thinking about what that artist is really trying to say. So I want people to see and think and also resonate with the work. Then there's pieces that are quite representational, be it the sculptures, be it the murals, all of that gets people to think and talk. And we'll have the storytelling talking about things that happened in the Crenshaw community, that our creativity came through the Shindana Toys or Soul Train or so many things that basically that Los Angeles had the pobladores that included Black people in the founding of Los Angeles. So those stories and having the artists who had the vision to be able to work with us to tell those stories is how we got to this point.
I'm going to expand on that, or have you expand on it. So how have Black artists shaped the fabric of Los Angeles? It's a two-parter. Think about that. And there are a few legendary artists that we'll see soon on the screen that are part of Destination Crenshaw, and some are establishing their footprint. Can you speak to their significance to the park? To the project.
Yes, if we can have the slides. Okay, we skipped a couple, actually. Okay, so here we have Charles Dixon, and I'm just going to briefly talk about him because he has this program on May 31st. Be there, be square, because he really has some exciting things to say. He's been a part of this community for such a long time, and his Crenshaw car culture sculpture that's going to be at Sankofa Park will be incredible. There'll be lots of moving parts, so that's exciting. Next slide. We have the RTN crew that did the Crenshaw Wall in the 2000s. For you more mature audience members, we remember when lots of artists impacted the wall in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. Members of the RTN crew also went to Crenshaw High School and saw the wall and saw the potential of telling stories on that wall. It's a retaining wall, it's been there for decades, but the story that they told, which was our mighty contributions, they're going on to tell the mighty contributions, the saga continues. So they have a really amazing piece that's going to be like 780 feet long that everyone will enjoy along the boulevard. Next slide. Tunes 1 has a piece that's on dog groomers at 57th and Crenshaw. Again, here we had an opportunity with a private property owner to be able to have images and truly an Instagrammable moment in our community talking about what it is to be young in this community. He's middle-aged, so we have a range of artists on this program. And then next, we have the United to Inspire Collective with this mother and child image that's on the Good Shepherd Manor building. This is an homage to Charles White, a very prominent Black artist in Los Angeles who's no longer with us, but has been so impactful with his images and murals about Black Los Angeles and Black life. So in putting together this group of artists, and there's several others that we have, and younger artists who have been participated in the program as well, that you'll see along the boulevard this summer, to be able to tell the stories at different nodes. You know, with the architects, we decided that certain areas would tell certain stories. So you have improvisation that's at Slauson and Crenshaw. You have Dreams that is at 54th and Crenshaw. The first that will be at, that's at 54th and Crenshaw, sorry. Then you have the chain sculpture by Mel Edwards at 57th and Crenshaw. And now you have Sankofa Park that deals with togetherness. And so all of those artists really talk about themes, those themes, as well as their interpretation of those themes for the community to appreciate and enjoy. Putting these works in parks, in spaces where people can sit and enjoy and converse, grab the coffee, talk to their kids. Children, how many schools that we have up and down the boulevard? Those are impactful moments that we are really hoping people will enjoy to understand that this is what we deserve and what we have in our community for us to stay here.
So I think you answered a lot of this, but I'm going to throw it out there anyway in case you want to add
I got
anything.
carried away.
Can you talk about the different art forms, you've mentioned some, that have been curated for Destination Crenshaw project, and why that art form was chosen to tell a particular story?
As I kind of ran over things and said, I think I wanted in this space to have the opportunity for us to see very different art forms, to understand that we're not a monolith, that not all of our images are necessarily mother and child, not necessarily something that is painful or whatever, but there is Black joy. There is things to be proud of. We have excellent artists in our community with telling stories that we need to tell. So that's how I gotta put this project on.
Thank you.
So we've gone through our slides, and now I have a question for the both of you. So, what do you hope, both of you, people will feel and take away from this project?
I'm hoping that this community, that people see themselves in this project, in this experience, and have a sense of pride in their ability to bring this idea to fruition. I also hope that folks can feel the hard work, the blood, sweat, and tears, and the love that was poured into this project by everybody that was privileged to be a part of it.
Yeah, you know, I agree with Gabrielle. Most of all, I hope people feel seen. And people that are not normally, we're not used to being seen, or at least not seen in our best light, or seen as our best selves. And so not just that we're seen, but seen in a particular way. And you know, something I have to say sitting on this stage, which is not exactly responsive to your question, but it's in context. I am especially proud of the amount of work here that is either done by Black women or depicts Black women. Because you just don't have that anywhere else in the United States, and I imagine you don't have it anywhere else in the world. And so that I want people to feel that and feel it in a visceral way, and I want folks to feel it deep down in their soul. As our community continues to go through things, it'll be something that you can look at that can say, this is how we got through that, and this is how we will get through what we face at this moment.
I have no idea what we're doing on time, but I think it's time for questions.
I want to know what it means to you, Joy.
Oh, well, for me, as you both have said and shared, I want people to really see us differently. And I want us to see Black excellence. That's why some of the artists that we selected are high profile. We wanted that this community deserves, we want, and we should have Black excellence, and to be proud of that, and to revel in that, and therefore come back and stay in this community to keep it alive and going and thriving. As a kid growing up here, understanding, going to the Lamert, because that was the only movie theater other than the Baldwin over there. I mean, and all the activities and stores that used to be here. I mean, I want this community to come away with this, to be able to say, you know what, we're back, we're here, and we're gonna grow. Now it's time for questions.
Yes, I'm back. We will start to take questions right now. We'll start with some questions that we received from YouTube, and I think we have one more panelist joining you. And in the meanwhile, I'm going to request anybody in the audience who has a question to please line up here, and remember to keep your questions brief and to the point. I will be holding on to the mic while you ask your questions. Welcome to the stage, please, Jason Foster of Destination Crenshaw.
This is good.
So we have our first question from the YouTube chat that's been quite active up there above your heads. Can they discuss the economic benefits to the project and the economic benefits of cultural enclaves in the city? Marqueece, would you or
Yes,
Jason like to take that?
I'll start, but Jason is the economist on the stage. So the idea here is, when we look at the history of the economy of our community, what we have is, at different points in time, including now, people have good employment, they spend money, but in order to spend money, generally speaking, you have to go outside the community. So all of our wealth leaks out, right? So, I mean, even something as basic as groceries, you have to leave the community to get. And so the idea is if we create a draw, then it's our dollars and the dollars of visitors together to create the basis for businesses that we own and operate and curate. And so that's the idea behind Destination Crenshaw, and you can see that already slowly beginning to take shape. But this is a generational project to change the economic landscape in our community.
Yeah, and the only thing I would add is 2 points. The first point is today, 90008 and 90043 are the 2 zip codes of Destination Crenshaw. There is $323 million of gross revenue in our creative economy today.
Wow.
Currently happening, right? So all we're trying to do is to make sure that there's a place for that permanently in our community to be able to access that wealth and then grow it. The second thing is, we're going to be the first stop on the train once it's connected to the airport. So when they come from the airport, we're the first community that folks are going to see. So the opportunity for us to take advantage of that and really showcase who we are, I believe that that's going to really make a difference.
Our first question.
Thank you for this presentation. The Olympics is probably the most profound, hosting the Olympics is probably one of the most profound public diplomacy events that a country can have. So in terms of how this event is going to face the rest of the nation and the rest of the world, and in particular because in terms of excellence, people like Rayford Johnson and Carl Lewis and so many of the Olympic athletes, how is Crenshaw, Destination Crenshaw, going to face the world as Los Angeles prepares for the Olympics?
Well, you know, thank you for the question about the Olympics. I will remind everyone what the mayor said a few weeks ago in the State of the City. The Olympic Summer Games is the equivalent of 17 Super Bowls every day for 2.5 weeks. So that's the magnitude, and that train is key because you can't get to any venue on public transportation from the airport without coming down Crenshaw Boulevard. So we want to be there to show face. Here's another thing that I'll say. This is pie in the sky. We don't know how this will get done. But this high school that we're at right now has produced as many Olympians as almost any high school in the country, and we want people to know that. Like when you ride by the train,
Absolutely.
You're riding by Crenshaw High School, you're riding by Darryl Strawberry's high school, and a whole bunch of other great American athletes. And so we want to be at the center of the discussion and the center of the experience of everybody that visits Los Angeles for the Summer Games in 2028.
Yes, my name is Daryl Crutchfield. My organization is called Saving All Kids. Our entertainment company is called High Level Hollywood. Thank you for having this, especially here. This is my old school. I miss this school. I'm like, whoa, look at Crenshaw, we in the building.
Yes.
Well, I used to be a bad little kid, but then I straightened my life out. So instead of being a part of the problem, I'm being a part of the solution. So we have a program called It's Cool to Be in School, and we use real music, film, and TV projects to keep the kids out of gangs, drugs, teen pregnancy, and dropping out of school. So I wanted to give every panelist a plan that we have, and would like to work with you in the future. Like you said, this is art. We like to use also entertainment. There's a lot of talented kids as well. So we want to be able to highlight their talent and reap the benefit and not just Hey, look what I did, now I'm broke. So, no. So, we're doing entrepreneurship and entertainment, and like leaders with you, and maybe I can get your information before you go or whatever. Brother Marqueece, what's up, man? That's my bro. What's up?
We have a free reception for everybody right after this, so you will have a chance to meet everybody.
Well, I'll stay.
Yes, please do.
Yes.
I'm going to switch back to YouTube while our next question comes up, and that is, we are ultimately passing this on to future generations. What do you hope for Los Angeles?
I hope. Yes, as a grandmother, I hope that my grandchildren and their grandchildren, because we're talking about keeping this place. We are going to be here. Black Los Angeles is going to be in this space so that they can be proud to do this, to keep it going, to keep the property, and stay here. And understand that we come from talented, creative people. And we have a level of excellence educationally, artistically, creatively that we have to maintain and keep going.
Our next question.
Hi, my name is Khalifa Bey. I'm native to Los Angeles, and over the past several years, there's been a number of great polarizing figures that have graced the Shaw, and I'd like to ask the question, where is the homage to Nipsey Hussle?
Thank you for that question. You know, Nipsey Hussle was an integral part of the founding of Destination Crenshaw as one of the business leaders that was part of the business group. In fact, some people have heard this, the very name Destination Crenshaw comes from Nipsey Hussle, because that's what he decided it should be called, and he did it. You know, the Marathon store is there at Slauson. We have Marathon Park across the street from that. Very important. We had grand plans for that, but we want to follow the lead of his family, and we want them to decide how it should be, what it should be, and we haven't gotten to that yet. And so his family will direct what the homage to him will be, but it will be in Hyde Park. It will be on Slauson Boulevard, right across the street from the Marathon store.
Because that is one of the things that's very, very important to this community.
That's right.
Don't forget that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, the next question's via text message. This is a great project. How will you work with the Black community to ensure that we can continue to afford and purchase property in the Crenshaw district?
So I think, you know, one of the, you know, this is a key question that I get all the time, right? And it's how do you support people creating new opportunities, but also, you know, convince people not to sell their grandmother's home. It is both of those jobs. It is creating access for public programs and other private programs that help people in home buying situations, but it's also educating people about what equity means and how you can use it to not only provide for you, but also your family and future generations with wealth transfer. So you will see programming from Destination Crenshaw before we start and after about educating people how to get access to programs to help provide permanence for us, and then also create more opportunities for folks like us that want to move either back to Crenshaw, whether they've been displaced before, or move into Crenshaw, other Black folks in the area. So it's the work.
There was a follow-up to that one, actually, Jason. Will there be any upcoming meetings or events that Destination Crenshaw will be hosting?
That's a good question. I would say 95% yes, right? It's not on the calendar now, but like I said, we're in construction mode. But when we get there, it will happen and folks will know. We have text, we have email, we have phone. If everybody scans these QR codes on your flyers, that's how you get in contact with us, and you'll talk to a real person that's from your community to work with you on this.
Jason, in terms of the economic impact, can you talk about the workforce for Destination Crenshaw? Because I think it's an important connection to what you raised about housing.
Absolutely. So on our construction side, you know, one of the things about housing is you have to be able to afford to live there, right? And so what we focused on in our construction project is local hire. And that's not local hire generally, like our community specifically. We have a 72% local hire hours, 83% local hire wages. These are work going directly to our community and ultimately in career opportunities with union jobs. So what we're trying to do is not only build Destination Crenshaw, but it's also grow the wages of people in our community to be able to sustain, because land values are increasing, right? So we have to actually acknowledge that with career opportunities supported by unions and public work.
Another question from YouTube. How will this art be protected?
We have developed, and in the process of developing, a conservation corps. So we are trying to use not only there's not that many Black conservators in the country, but we have one that is working with us to be able to develop a team that will preserve and conserve the art that is going to be on the walls. All the murals have a protective coating on it that can be easily washed off. We are making sure that the other sculptures and the other work in the Sankofa Park and the other parks are also protected and preserved by members of the community. It's about us making sure that we take care of what we want and with our community.
Baldwin Hills Crenshaw Mall. So I know they have plans that seem to have been on hold for a while because of zoning. Mall, but malls all across the country are suffering because of internet buying. So it would seem like if the development of the plans for the Baldwin Hill Crenshaw Mall would go through, you'd have businesses, especially the smaller businesses that are like Black owned or locally owned, even though they're in the mall, paying rent, mall rent, they don't get the traffic or the buyers. But if the Leimert Park had the businesses, that would give them a destination or a place to sell, where the mall could go through the transformation that I guess the buyers bought it for, so that they could help the community to have, even if it's not low-income housing, it would be housing where you'd have the people who could go to the Black stores, go to the restaurants, go to the, Black cultural things in the area. Okay, thank you.
What's your name?
Oh, my name is Ina Basley. My father was principal of Crenshaw High School in the 80s.
Thank you. Thank you for your question.
Dr. Lionel Hubert. Daryl Strawberry was one of his students.
Thank you for the question. The mall is a big point of concern on Crenshaw. It is at Crenshaw and King Boulevard, which if, there's a capital intersection in our community, that's it. Everybody should know all of the permits and land entitlements that the mall needs to build its project have been granted, and they've been granted for some time. They've got to go through the process where they get financing and they start the work, but they have plans. They're on the website. It's called the Heritage Company. You can find out, or you can find out from the city as well, but we need that project to be successful. I think you're exactly right. It is critical. We cannot have a mall that is either underutilized or under-operating or under-invested in. And so we continue to try to support the developer for him to get the work done. We just push every single day that, one, it get built, but then when it get built, we got to use it. We can't have this thing where we drive past it and go somewhere else. We got to use what we have in our community. And I will say also, Leimert Park is open for business. Aura, the restaurant and coffee shop is there. Haroon is there. There's clothing stores there. Soul Folks is there. There's a bike shop. there's plenty to buy and do and hang out in Leimert Park. So I invite everybody. You don't need to wait for anything. It's happening right now, all day, every day.
Hello, hi. My name is Janae Green. I am the owner of a new company called A Great Day in South LA, which is a 3-hour Black History tour company. So as a historian, I'm coming from that perspective today. As a fan, as a resident, as a fan, but as a historian, I just wanted to ask how you all are going to incorporate some of the legendary art galleries that made their prominence known in the neighborhood. So like the Brockman Art Gallery, I don't know if you know, but I just found out 40th and Crenshaw had Legend Gallery, which was the first Black art gallery in the city. He was tired of getting turned away in West Hollywood. He was like, you know what, I got time today. So just wondering how you will incorporate some of the legendary folks that, you know, came ahead of us, and we don't want to forget about them.
Well, they will not be forgotten. There's, I guess, a project in the works, a TV production in the works that's going to specifically talk about Brockman Gallery. But so that will be, that's out there. And their archive is at the Los Angeles Public Library so that people can see the archive of the Brockman Gallery. I went there as a youngin' as well, and they got me started on my collecting journey. Alonzo Davis was my art teacher here at Crenshaw. So no, we're not forgetting that history. And we're very fortunate to have Larry Earl as part of our Destination Crenshaw team, who's a historian as well, who's really been impactful in telling those stories, and you'll see that all up and down the boulevard. So we're not forget.
And I think another crucial part is you pay homage to the past by creating it in the future, right? So let's not leave that energy there, right? Let's create the place where the next Black gallerist wants to create a gallery, right? And bring that energy back to the corridor, because that is actually the place that we'll be able to capture that creative ingenuity, right? Like in that building, in that new place, paying homage to the old.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for having this event. My name is Marie Kellier, and I produce an event that's going to be producing an event called Carnival on the Shaw. And that is going to be a Caribbean-style carnival starting from Obama all the way up to into the park. So we're hitting all the 4 stations along that route. Anyway, my question is, for the smaller or less prominent artists, what are your plans in terms of performances, in terms of activities on a monthly, on a yearly, quarterly basis? How is the entertainment and the activity going to be sustained along the Crenshaw, the Destination Crenshaw area?
What's your name?
I'm looking
my name is Marie Kellier.
Thank you.
I'm looking at Gabrielle because the design of Sankofa Park is made for performance. So I think that's a key thing.
Yep, and it's not just Sankofa Park. I mean, I think we talked early on about the use of these parks, and Sankofa in particular, and how versatile it is, and whether it's a pop-up truck or a food truck or performance, that they're designed to accommodate all of that. I think what's next is the programming of those activities.
Yeah, and so the operational organization, we will play a part in, building a system and a format around how you book the space, how you use the space. We're also going to start this month our Creative Pathways office hours. So for young, early, mid-career artists, small groups, they can come into our office and actually learn about the public opportunities to access funding, to do what they already do, right? And having staff on board to be able to kind of walk people through that process is a big part of what Destination Crenshaw is trying to do with our programming.
Yeah, and thank you for that question about the carnival. Carnival is the carnival on Crenshaw is exactly the idea. Mm-hmm. So we've had carnival in LA, but it's been on Hollywood Boulevard in Hollywood, right? Yeah. So the idea is if we build a platform, again, black art that gets consumed by everybody in the world can get consumed in our space, and they can use our businesses. And so we're very excited about Carnival and a host of other events that'll happen there. But again, we want to draw that work into the space where the community that nurtures that talent and that ingenuity.
Well, that's all that we have time for with questions. Joy, I will toss it over to you to close out the show.
Thank you so much, Moira. Gabrielle and Councilmember Harris-Dawson, thank you for a phenomenal conversation. Thank you to Zócalo Public Square and Destination Crenshaw for co-presenting tonight's program, and to Supervisor Holly Mitchell for her generous support. You'll be able to find a summary of tonight's program on Zócalo's website in the coming days, as well as interviews with all our panelists. Please subscribe to Zócalo's newsletter, podcast, and social media to get more great conversations. We encourage our in-person audience to continue the conversation in our post-event reception, where they'll have light bites and beverages from Taco Mel and music by DJ Case. Thank you again, and please give our guests another round of applause.
Can we give a round of applause for Dr. Joy?
Thank you.
It's Dr. Joy.